Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Jaquan,
I'm Jasmine.
and welcome to the Film Spill.
So today, guys, we're going to be reviewing the series Miss Marvel. This is an action fiction series, and here is the summary. Kamala is a superhero fan with an imagination, particularly when it comes to Captain Marvel. Kamala feels like she doesn't fit in at school and sometimes even at home. That is until she gets superpowers like the heroes she looked up to.
I really enjoy this character. Like, I really like Miss Marvel. I think Marvel did an amazing job when they created her. Now, for the show, I don't think they portrayed her in the best way, and that goes for a lot of the characters they had for Disney Plus. I just think that they could have done a little bit better, specifically with her character. The rating I gave this show was a 2.5. It was one of those shows, I think out of all the Marvel shows that I watched, is on the low end, um, right next to like She-Hulk. But I feel like this was one of those ones that I just really could not get into. So let's get into my pros and my cons. So for my very first pro, I really like how the animation played a huge part of this show, especially when they showed the intro, when there's like graffiti and there's a drawing of Miss Marvel in the street. And I feel like every time that they had like each episode, the graffiti kept changing. I thought that was really dope. The next pro I have is I like how they displayed the Muslim and Pakistani culture in this show. We rarely get a chance to know anything about other races in these shows. So whenever they do pay homage to another culture, I think it's just not only is important, but I feel like it's just dope to learn about. My next pro, which is probably the biggest pro I had on this show, was the wedding scene that they had for Kamala's brother when he was dancing, him and his wife. I just thought that was really dope. They killed the performance. It was really cool to see them dance. My next pro was I like how they showed what happened during the partition. Once again, it was something that I never knew about, never learned about it in school. So one of those things that they shed a light on, and the viewers can learn about. My next pro was I like how the story that her grandmother always told her family, how she was reunited with her father when they got separated during the partition. And basically how she had to follow the stars when she was an infant, and the stars ended up basically being Kamala, who had went back in time and helped her in one of those weird time loop moments, very similar to Lovecraft Country. So I thought that was really dope on that part. My last pro was I liked the end of the show where they basically show her and Captain Marvel trade places. That was cool because of course they kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen next and stuff. All right, so let's get into my cons. So I didn't like how her powers were not comic book accurate. You hear me talk about that so much throughout the show, and that was probably really the biggest killer. Like, I just really love when they, you can do whatever you want to do as far as the twists and spins on these characters, but it's just like it's certain things that it just have to make sense. That's like if we was watching the Hulk and he was blue, and like, oh well, we're gonna be different. It's like, this doesn't make sense though. Like, you can change whatever else, but the stuff that we know should stay the same should stay the same. And I seen somebody say like, oh, they didn't want to do it because the CGI doesn't look right or it's too stretchy. So I'm like, I really don't know how they gonna do Mr. Fantastic then, and I hope they don't do nothing crazy too, because I'll be very upset. The next con was I didn't like how Kamala played Bruno. Basically she started falling for Kamala. Like, you know those type of things where it's just like you have the guy next to you the whole time. He's there for you. He has feelings for you, and you fall for the bad boy. And then she ends up running back to Bruno towards the middle or end whenever Kamran end up being like a bad guy. I'm like, I just don't like when people do that. I don't like how when Bruno finally like stated at the end that, oh, she's as a mutation in her gene, and basically trying to talk about the X-Men. It's like, once again, to me, they're already ripped away her backstory of her being a mutant. In the comics, she got her powers through the Terrigen Mist. You already kind of switched that. I didn't like how they try to bridge the two because I feel like it just didn't make sense. The next con was I did not like the fight scenes. We talked about this at all, especially from the villains. They was just horrible. Like, their powers were lame. They were getting beat up by kids. It was just, once again, just was not making sense to me. The last con, and you've heard me say this in a lot of movies. So basically, Kamran's mother, one of the Jinns, she's basically fighting the whole show to get this bangle to go back to her dimension. And then totally at the end, she get a change of heart and like, you know what? I'm gonna just sacrifice myself. It's like, why do they do this in these shows? It's like somebody who's that hell bent is been years and stuff trying to get back. You talk to one little girl and she just changed your mind. So yeah, anyway, those are my pros and my cons. Yeah, one of those shows I didn't really care too much about.
Wow. So pretty much my husband hit pretty much all my stuff. he said. So I give this show a 2 out of 5. I really like the graphics and how they had the animation mixed in with the real world. I like how they highlighted the Pakistani culture. I like when Kamala was transported back into time and we were shown the story of her grandma, but I still was confused as to how. I understand it's like a loop or something, but that was still confusing to me. But I really like that. And then I like the end when she switched places with Captain Marvel, because it's like I can't imagine with Kamala what she's about to go up against, switching places with her. But pretty much that was it. But I give it a 2 out of 5.
Just like always, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. You guys have a good one.